Hello, my name is Jim DeMeo, and this is A Course in Miracles. Today's lesson is 196. It can be but myself I crucify. I remember the first time I read this and I thought it was rather interesting. However, I did not take into account the one Son of God. Back in 1989, I was still thinking of Jesus being Jesus apart from me, being the Son of God and me not. Today, with the training from the Course and a lot of prayer, it has become clear to me, it's become clear to me that there is one Son of God, inclusive of you and me. So, of course, it can be but myself that I crucify. When this is firmly understood and kept in full awareness, you will not attempt to harm yourself, nor make your body slave to vengeance. You will not attack yourself, and you will realize that to attack another is but to attack yourself. You will be free of the insane belief that to attack a brother saves yourself, and you will understand his safety is your own, and in his healing, you are healed. Are you ready for metaphysics? Perhaps, at first, you will not understand how mercy, limitless, and with all things, held in its sure protection, can be found in the idea we practice for today. It may in fact appear to be a sign that punishment can never be escaped, because the ego, under what it sees as threat, is quick to cite the truth to save its lies. Yet must it fail to understand the truth it uses thus. You can learn to see these foolish applications and deny the meaning they appear to have. Thus, do you also teach your mind that you are not an ego. For the ways in which the ego would distort the truth will not deceive you longer. You will not believe you are a body to be crucified. And you will see within today's idea the light of resurrection, looking past all thoughts of crucifixion and of death to thoughts of liberation and of life. Today's idea is one step we take in leading us from bondage to the state of perfect freedom. Let us take this step today, that we may quickly go the way salvation shows us, taking every step in its appointed sequence, as the mind relinquishes its burdens one by one. It is not time we need for this, it is but willingness. For what would seem to need 1,000 years can easily be done in just one instant by the grace of God. The dreary, hopeless thought that you can make attacks on others and escape yourself has nailed you to the cross. Perhaps it seemed to be salvation, yet it merely stood for the belief the fear of God is real. Fear of God here is not respect for God, as in the old biblical idea of fear of God. That's respect. No, fear of God is being afraid of punishment, not being afraid to take the responsibility of correction, but afraid of punishment. Who could believe his father is his deadly enemy, separate from him, waiting to destroy his life and blot him from the universe, without the fear of hell upon his heart? There's the fear of God. Such is the form of madness you believe. If you accept the fearful thought, you can attack another and be free yourself. Until this form is changed, there is no hope. Until you see that this, at least, must be entirely impossible. Attacking another person is only attacking yourself. How could there be escape? The fear of God is real to anyone who thinks this thought is true, and he will not perceive its foolishness or even see that it's there, so that it would be possible to question it. To question it at all, its form must first be changed, at least as much as will permit fear of retaliation to abate, and the responsibility return to some extent to you. From there, you can at least consider if you want to go along this painful path. This is the reason why in Christianity, in Judaism, and Islam, the idea of the loving God is there. It's just that the loving God wants us to correct our mistakes. So this is no different than what the Course is teaching. A loving God wants us to correct our mistakes. And it's not God who's punishing us when we don't correct our mistakes. Today's lesson echoes what you would find through any of those scriptures as well. You're hurting yourself by not correcting your mistake. So, when you have the responsibility, to some extent returning to you, you can at least consider if you want to go along this painful path. Until this shift has been accomplished, you cannot perceive that it is but your thoughts that bring you fear. Your deliverance depends on you. Our next steps will be easy. You take this one today. From there, we can go ahead quite rapidly. For once you understand it's impossible that you be hurt, except by your own thoughts, the fear of God must disappear. Hallelujah. You cannot then believe that fear is caused without, and God, who you had thought of to banish, can be welcomed back within the holy mind he never left. This happens with the thought of a loving God, doesn't it? Salvation's song can certainly be heard in the idea we practice for today. It can but be you crucify. You did not hurt the world, and need not fear its vengeance and pursuit, nor need you hide in terror from the deadly fear of God's projection hides behind. The thing you dread the most is your salvation. You are strong, and it is your strength you want. You are free and glad of freedom. You have sought to be both weak and bound, because you feared your strength and freedom. Yet salvation lies in them, the one holy Son of God. There's an instant in which terror seems to grip your mind, so holy that escape appears quite hopeless. When you realize once and for all that it is you fear, the mind perceives itself as split. And this had been concealed while you believed that cat could be directed outward and returned from outside to within. It seemed to be an enemy outside you had to fear, and thus a God, small g, outside yourself became your mortal enemy, the source of fear. Now, for an instant, there's a murderer perceived within you, eager for your death, intent on plotting punishment for you until the time when it can kill at last. Yet in this instant is the time as well in which salvation comes, for fear of God has disappeared. Salvation means accepting ourselves as the one Son of God, one with God, an extension of God. And you can call on him to save you from illusions by his love, calling him Father and yourself his Son. Pray that the instant may be soon today. Step back from fear and make advance to love. There is no thought of God that does not go with you to help you reach this instant and go beyond it quickly, surely, and forever. When the fear of God is gone, there are no obstacles that still remain between you and the holy peace of God. How kind and merciful is the idea we practice, coming to be with one, with God, allowing God to help us. Give it welcome, as you should, for it is your release. It is indeed, but your mind can try to crucify. yet your redemption too will come from you. So, if we realize we're not a body, that a body is actually something we take good care of as a communication device, if we realize that our real identity is the one Son of God, if we realize that although we feel like we've separated from God, it's not true, then we can take on the responsibility of all the correction of all of our mistakes and become gradually and wonderfully free of fear.